views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
On the cutting edge of the new mainstream, Christine Upchurch is passionate about bringing together science, psychology, and spirituality in a way that can be applied to our everyday lives for true transformation. The Christine Upchurch Show, stellar conversations to illuminate your journey, engages some of the most inspired visionaries on the planet in lighthearted, lively dialogue. Join us as we explore the expansive nature of reality in a down-to-earth way, offering you insights and tools, empowering you to become that bright light you're meant to be. Now, here's your host, Christine Upchurch.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Christine Upchurch Show, where we have stellar conversations to illuminate your journey. I'm speaking to you today from, I'm not sure whether it's sunny, cloudy, or rainy Seattle, because it's really a mix, here on KKNW AM 1150, here at Hubbard Radio. You may be listening somewhere on the East Coast, on AM 1230 WBLQ, somewhere across the United States through your television on cable radio network, or anywhere around the world on Transformation Talk Radio, or, of course, through the archives on iTunes and ChristineUpchurch.com, TransformationTalkRadio.com, all sorts of ways to access this show. But I tell you, wherever you're listening from today, you're going to be glad you joined us, because we're going to be talking about something that's very important to tap into so that you can live a happier, healthier, more successful life. But before I get into that, I want to say hello to my better half here in the studio, who allows you to hear these wonderful conversations, Mr. Benny Mathers. Hi, Benny.
Hi, Christine. At least it's not snowing.
That's true.
Apparently it was either last week or the week before in
Really?
Michigan.
In Michigan. Oh.
Can you believe that?
Yeah.
I know, right?
And I've got a lot of friends and like former students
Sure.
up in Edmonton and Calgary, and I keep hearing about snow there. And then Denver. I've got friends in Denver.
But it's like the end of
I know.
May. This is
I remember teaching a seminar in Denver in May, and there was snow on the ground. Yeah.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
What's Mother Nature doing?
I don't know, but
Well, actually, we're doing it to her.
exactly.
When you think about it,
Yeah,
which is bad.
It's a little concerning.
We won't go there.
Yes, that's a whole other topic.
Yeah,
for
let's
the
start
show.
on a different foot. How's a different foot sound like? Let's do that.
That sounds great.
Okay.
And you know, we talk about intuitive guidance. We talk about shifting our lives in ways that allows us to show up and be more soul-based, more aligned with our true nature. And we're going to be taking a slightly different look at things today from a woman who has created something called the inner GPS. She's having us look at something within ourselves that she calls the inner GPS. And her book is entitled Your Inner GPS, Follow Your Internal Guidance to Optimal Health, Happiness, and Satisfaction. Now, Zen DeBrücke is the author of this. She's a renowned teacher, speaker, and a coach. And these programs that she's developed to help us tap into what she calls the inner GPS has helped people all over the world to transform their lives, both personally and professionally. I'd like to welcome our guest today, Zen DeBrücke. Hi, Zen.
Hello. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Welcome. You know, it's funny because, you know, at this stage of the game, pretty much everybody knows what a GPS is. But when you developed this, GPSs weren't in every car. Can you tell us a little bit about how you came up with this concept of the inner GPS?
Yes. Back in 1993, 94, right in that area, I had an audio cassette tape that was given to me, and there was a little-known woman at the time, Esther Hicks, who was on that tape. And
tapes and yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Cassette tapes, that dates it a bit, yes.
It does date it. It's so funny. Kids don't even know what those are nowadays.
Right.
Let alone 8-track, but I was dating myself. But, you know, I put this cassette tape in, and I love the information on law of attraction, but what struck me was them talking about an internal guidance system. It's something that we actually physically have in our bodies that expands and opens when our thoughts are in alignment with what we want to create, and constricts or closes when we're out of alignment with what we want to create. And I knew instantly that I had felt that, and that when I was constricted or closed, I had already begun to recognize that I was probably going to do something that was going to make me unhappy, and or self-sabotage. And the problem was I had already realized I didn't know how to stop myself. Mm-hmm. The mind was just going, going, and going. So I became immediately intrigued, and went to try to find training on this all over. We didn't have the internet then,
right?
So I had to go to libraries and bookstores and talk to teachers and I talked to Gangaji about it, and she said yes, it exists, but nobody could train me how to use it. So I decided to figure it out for myself. It took me about 8 years, and I'm still mastering it, to be honest. But it took about 8 years for me to get a system that worked most of the time.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So what is the inner GPS?
Well, I think it's a factory-installed guidance system that was given to us for the sole purpose of helping us manage our minds. Forever, different philosophers and wisdom teachers and texts talk about how we need to separate from the mind. We're not our mind. Our mind is our ego, those kinds of conversations.
Right.
But it's really hard to see. It's like a fish in water kind of thing. So I think this is something that was given to us to help us support us in doing that. And it really does. It actually shows you that there's a lot of things in your mind that are not true and are false. And it suddenly gives a really powerful observer effect that most people get through meditation. I kind of feel like it's meditation on the go.
Right.
Put your butt off the cushion out in the world, and it still allows you to see your mind for what it is. Yeah.
And Zen, sorry.
Yeah.
I think that the on-the-go piece of it is so important because, up until probably like the last 10 years or so, it seems like our connection to that divine communication, whether we're talking about intuitive guidance or what you're calling the inner GPS, has been something where we've gone into separation. We've gone into meditation. We've gone on retreat. We've gone into a situation that's withdrawn from our daily lives in order to connect with it. But I think that the next stage of our evolution is really about connecting on a moment-to-moment basis. So I love the fact that that is the focus of this.
Yeah, it's actually really powerful experience to have, to be able to stop in the moment and get guidance like that. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Do you know what color a yield sign is in the United States?
Yeah.
What color?
Well, I've read this in your book.
But you know the punchline.
Yeah, I do. But the thing is, I see yellow yield signs all over the place.
Yes. Well, you don't. I promise. I hate to disagree with you. I've had many people say that, and I've told them I give them $100 if they take one picture of a real, living yield sign. They can't find it. They're all red and white. They have been since 1974. And the thing is that they're still using the yellow yield sign in media. You'll see it on the cover of books. You'll see it, like the other day, I saw it on Sesame Street. They had this whole brand new show about signs, and they brought out a yellow yield sign. So now my son has the impression of the yellow yield sign. And the reason why this is so important is because, and everybody out there, I promise, you can go to Wikipedia and check this out for yourself, because it's so hard for people to believe this vibrant yellow sign doesn't exist in our streets anymore. But the reason why this is so important is because we have yellow yield signs in our lives, what we're worth, how much we can love or be loved, the arguments that we have, conversations that we have, these false assumptions that are unexamined show up, and they actually are not good for us. There's a way in which not only is the IGS, internal guidance system, there to support you seeing the yellow yield signs, I believe, and research is beginning to show this, that the nervous system, as it expands in the opening, which I'd love to give your listeners an example of and feel it themselves, is repatterning the neural pathways in our brain. That part of our brain's plasticity that they're finding in neuroscience is attached to this. And so if you just think about that, I got chills. If you just think about that for a second, we learn how to use this, and we could have control over our own neuroplasticity on a moment-to-moment basis, updating our brain.
That's so powerful because it's essentially reprogramming it.
Yes. And almost everything in our lives that creates happiness and success and health is attached to our thoughts, our limiting beliefs, what's going on in our subconscious mind. And this programming can be unprogrammed, and you can reprogram it with the perfect plasticity and belief systems and And I do believe it even goes down into the root of our subconscious. I think a lot of our subconscious is programmed through shocks and pleasures of our nervous system as well.
Right.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
It is. So let me ask you this. Are our thoughts irrelevant or somehow unimportant, or is it a matter of sort of shifting them from the ineffective, sort of patterns they're in and creating powerful thoughts? I'm trying to understand whether you think that they're important or not.
I think they're incredibly important. I think, they literally create our reality.
Okay.
And there's matter and matter being shifted and all of that. And I don't know to that extent. But I do know that if you look around a city, every skyscraper in it came from somebody's mind.
Right.
Right? And then a bunch of people getting together, and they had to think about how to put it together. And everything comes from our thoughts. And what's key is making sure that those thoughts are creating the most health and harmony. There's some really unbelievable information that your mind could not have, that in following your internal guidance system, you get led by opening, by opening, by opening. I've got an awesome story if you'd like for me to.
Well, I'd love to hear that story, and I'm also going to want you to share with our listeners how to tune into their own inner GPS. We're going to go through an exercise. So if you're driving right now and you're curious about this, you may want to pull over in the next 5 minutes or so. But we need to go to a quick break right now. More with Zen DeBrücke and your inner GPS in a few moments.
Listen to the wind blow, watch the sun rise.
If you're one of the millions of Americans suffering from anxiety, you probably know how powerless and out of control this emotion can make you feel. This is why it is so important to remember that anxiety is created by your mind, which means that you can learn to use your mind to uncreate it. Hello, my name is Dr. Friedman Schaub. My award-winning book, The Fear and Anxiety Solution, provides you with a step-by-step breakthrough process to understand and resolve the root causes of your anxiety and build a solid foundation of confidence and inner peace. If you're ready to take your power back, visit thefearandanxietysolution.com. That's thefearandanxietysolution.com, or call 866-903-6463. That's 866-903-MIND.
Serenity Bliss Holistic Spa is a complete approach to wellness. Serenity Bliss offers integrated therapies for whole body health, from facials to massage, from laser skin treatments to herbal wellness, from chiropractic care to energy healing. We work with teens who want to put their best face forward, adults of all ages who want to maintain that youthful glow, and anyone who wants to enjoy vibrant well-being head to toe. Serenity Bliss Holistic Spa is bringing the European approach to restoring natural beauty and wellness here to the Seattle area. Located on the east side off the beaten path, yet just minutes from the freeway. If you'd like to experience the joy of relaxation, skincare excellence, and total wellness, then come experience your Serenity Bliss. To learn more or to schedule an appointment, visit SerenityBlissHolisticSpa.com. That's SerenityBlissHolisticSpa.com. Or call 206-229-0086.
On the cutting edge of the new mainstream, Christine Upchurch is passionate about bringing together science, psychology, and spirituality in a way that can be applied to our everyday lives for true transformation. The Christine Upchurch Show, stellar conversations to illuminate your journey, engages some of the most outstanding visionaries on the planet in lively dialogue to inspire you to become that bright light you're meant to be. Join Christine every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time on KKNW, AM 1150, and Transformation Talk Radio.
I'm Christine Upchurch, and this is a Stellar Reflections Minute. For centuries, spiritual traditions have talked about how humans have an energy field, or aura, surrounding them. Although skeptical scientists refuted this for decades, science is now beginning to catch up with spirituality. Scientists can actually measure light emanating from living beings, so they can measure the human aura, which in scientific terms is known as the biofield. Many medical practitioners around the world use an instrument to evaluate a patient's biofield for the purpose of diagnosing illness. They understand that imbalanced or insufficient light in a person's energy field indicates a physical or emotional problem. The good news? There are ways to balance and increase your light, resulting in greater well-being. For more information, please check out stellarreflections.com or call 425-999-9836. That's 425-999-9836.
Welcome back to the Christine Upchurch Show here on KKNW, CRN, and Transformation Talk Radio. Betty and I have been Googling yield signs, right?
We're trying to prove, but she's right.
She is right.
Absolutely right.
And the thing is, I kept thinking of the caution signs, right? And I was thinking of those as
Turn
yield
ahead.
signs.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you pop it up on, and they're like the yield sign in red and white, it's like, oh yeah, that looks awfully familiar.
Right? Oops. Amazing,
So,
really amazing.
Yes, Zen, you were right.
The thing is, the reason why this is so important to me is because truly we have yield signs that we fight for like this, and they're not healthy. They're not helping us, and so it's just a way for people to get it. The funny thing is, like, the first person who realized that there were thoughts. Could you imagine how frustrating it would be to try and explain? You know, that thing in your head that your head, you know, like it's like, you know, before you do something, there's a thing that happens before you do it. And people are like, what? You're nuts. You know?
Yeah.
That must have been a very difficult thing to explain to other humans the first time they got, like, there's something going on in a thought that are thoughts.
But, you know, Zen, we have such attachment to our perspective. Even many of us who have expanded perspectives, you know, from, you know, like I work in energy healing, and I've got a much broader perspective on reality than most people. And yet there's something about our tendency towards myopia. Like we just see things in this one context. And how do we sort of shift our mind so that we're open to something more?
By using your internal guidance system, I promise.
Okay.
So the book that I've written is a manual. It's got 20 practical exercises in troubleshooting. And what it's like is it's like peeling away the layers of an onion to get back to your authentic self. Little by little, just through going through and using this system, you begin to see the mind as a tool instead of who you are.
Right.
And you stop saying, I am doing this versus my mind is doing this. And you begin working with it. So I teach people how to go from these closing thoughts and move into the opening thoughts that they can physically feel, and then hold those thoughts as their focus to repattern their mind. And over time, that's exactly, you stop holding on to your perspective. So let's do a quick exercise so people can feel it for themselves.
This sounds good. And if you happen to be driving, because we are over the airwaves and people listen, you know, in their cars sometimes, just go to ChristineUpchurch.com or TransformationTalkRadio.com afterwards and do it like when you're at home or you're pulled over. But okay, go ahead, Zen.
Okay, so the best way is if you put anything away that might be distracting you, if you got email or texting or anything, you're going to want to set that down.
I'll put my yield sign on my iPhone away.
Okay,
yes.
good. That's so great. I love it. We're so alike. And you want to sit down with your hands in your lap. I like palms facing up. And close your eyes and feel the bottom of your feet. Put your attention on the bottom of your feet. And you might feel a little energy or sensation because all of a sudden you're aware of them. Next, put your awareness on the palms of your hands. Once again, you might feel a little tingling or energy. With your eyes closed, just go ahead and listen to the room around you. I'd like you to stay aware of your feet, your hands, and your listening while we do this exercise. It kind of helps us quiet the mind and be in the body. I'm going to give you 2 sentences. Just let them float through your mind like a cloud does through the sky, noticing any sensation between your throat and the solar plexus. So go back to feeling your hands and your feet and listening. And here's the first sentence. I do not have an internal guidance system. I do not have an internal guidance system. Cloud through the sky, noticing any sensation between your throat and your solar plexus. And then focus on your feet, your hands, and you're listening again. All three. And here's the second sentence. I do have an internal guidance system. I do have an internal guidance system. Any sensation between your throat and your solar plexus. Now, wiggle your toes, open your eyes. What'd you feel?
Well, I personally, when you said that I don't have one, when I said that to myself, I could feel a tightening in my solar plexus.
Mm-hmm.
And when you said I do have one, I felt expansion in my chest, and my crown chakra was sort of buzzy. It's sort of like the creepy crawly sensation I feel when I'm sort of connected to truth.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Beautiful.
Yeah. So that's really it's a statement about the inner GPS, but it's an example of the inner GPS.
Yeah, exactly. So what people report on the first one, I do not have an internal guidance system, is a lump in the throat, a tightening in the chest, a rock or at the pit of their stomach, this overall constriction, like they can't breathe. That's closed. That's how we call it, is closed. Whenever you're closed, that means your thoughts are out of alignment. There's a yield sign present that's being asked to be removed or shifted.
A red and white yield sign, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, a yellow one, really. Actually, you want to get those yellow ones out of our brain. Okay. And then when you say, I do have an internal guidance system, there's like you're being breathed, like there's more energy, the lump in the throat, the constriction goes away, there's an opening. Very often, and I don't deal with the crown chakra, but very often when people are intuitively connected or energetically, they do feel in the crown chakra.
Yeah, and also I felt an expansion of my energy field as well.
Exactly.
So it felt it was growing essentially.
Exactly, and I do believe that what we've now termed stress, anxiety, worry, fear, frustration, overwhelm. When we experience those, we call them that. But what we're really doing have is guidance in that moment, and that's closed. Those things are closing, and that's why I teach people first. Whenever you feel those things, stop and say, I'm closed. That means what I'm thinking is not true and not going to happen. And you'll feel the expansion, because that's a truer thought. And that just doing that for a couple of weeks throughout your day starts having your mind go, this thing's moving in relationship to me.
Right. And it seems like
control of this. Yeah.
We often also experience stress because not only are we closed down and around the thought, but we're actually taking action despite that closure that's saying don't do this, right?
Yes. And so, but here's the other thing is people have it backwards. A lot of people think when they feel that sick feeling in the pit of their stomach or tightening in their chest lump, that something outside of them is causing that reaction and they have to do something to fix it. It's the opposite. It's not outside of you. It's not someone or something.
Sure.
It's what you're thinking about that person is not true. So any action you take in the closing sensation to fix something outside of you will not work. You have to start with the mind, get yourself open, and then take action from there.
Okay, so I just want an example here to help clarify this for us.
Okay. I have a really great client that I used to work with. His name is Van Jones, and he was a black leader, really great. He's on CNN right now, actually. And he was going from his current position at the Ella Baker Center to something new, which ended up being the Green Jobs program in the Obama White House. And we were sitting there in one of our third or fourth sessions kind of going over what he wanted to really do. And he had to stop me, and he said, I need to tell you something, and I don't know how you're going to take it, but I have to do it, and it might be seen as offensive. And I said, oh, gosh, okay.
Right.
What? And he said, you're a racist. And my mind went, no, I'm not. And I went, big, deep closing, which means what I'm thinking is not true. So I was like, I was looking at him, and I thought, I am a racist? And I got this big opening, and I looked at him, and I remember being teary-eyed going, oh, my gosh, my IGS is opening. It closed when I said I wasn't, and it opened when it said I was.
Right.
My parents weren't that way. I've never heard that in my household. He goes, it's not about that, your whole culture. And it's the field sign, right?
Yes.
The culture, the way that the expectations you have around black fathers, the way you talk about black youth in inner city, which is who he wanted to serve, the language that you use, the limitations you put on people or expectation of how they're going to behave. All of that is an unseen way in which you're limiting other people's ability to exceed. And so it was like, whoa. He explained it to me, and I started changing my perspective, and I used my IGS to get through that. So the example is, like, most people, without the IGS, would have just defended. They would have talked about their parents, just like I immediately did, right? They would talk about their black friends. They would talk about, they go through this whole, but and still not see it because it's a yield sign. The only way that I could even see it is because I had this piece of myself that I've come to trust and believe in, that wanted me to remove that yield sign. And think about how powerful that would be in your life.
So it's like a truth meter, and that can help us navigate where we're at and where we should go.
Yes, what we should say, the conversations we have. With my husband, marriage is tough. It doesn't matter who you're married to. It's just tough. And with my husband, I check in and communicate in the tough times using this. And it doesn't make it perfect because we got another human being, but we both try, and we get to solutions that are much quicker than anyone else. And there are things that really we can actually solidify and keep. Because a lot of times you come up with a new solution and you don't do it. We can keep it because it's opening. It's working with our openings.
Fascinating. We're going to be going to another quick break, but when we return, Zen, I'm going to want you to talk about how this relates to intuition, how emotions fit into this overall puzzle here, and how we can more effectively tap into our own inner GPS on a moment-to-moment basis to shift our lives. More with Zen DeBrücke in a few moments.
I need life. I need to know that I have someone that I can love.
Abundance Takes Flight continues for the month of May. If you missed the extraordinary event in person, you will not want to miss this video. Make a donation to ShareWheel via abundancetakesflight.org. That's abundancetakesflight.org, and receive your life-changing video from Lynn M. Brown, 8 Things Directly from the Mouth of Money. You can also view the list of vendors who are gifting 50% off their proceeds to ShareWheel when you mention this ad for the month of May. Ladies, it's time to treat yourself. Join the Women of Wisdom for their annual fundraiser Saturday, June 4th. This is a sacred pampering day for women at North Seattle College. If you are a business and want to be one of our pamperers, we still have space. It's going to be a day to relax and treat yourself. For more information and to get tickets, visit thewowconference.org. That's the WOW conference.org.
I'm Christine Upchurch, and this is a Stellar Reflections Minute. What does the word healing mean? Many think that healing merely means eliminating symptoms. However, based on my many years as a healer, I have a much broader perspective on the word. Healing can manifest in a variety of ways, including having physical problems resolved, becoming more emotionally centered, experiencing better relationships, gaining greater clarity, and feeling more spiritually connected. True healing always includes some level of transformation. Whatever form healing takes, there is one commonality, an improvement in quality of life. To me, the highest form of healing goes beyond aligning with wellness. It comes from recognizing our soul's voice and allowing it to speak through us. And in that sense, don't we all yearn to heal into our wholeness? Please visit stellarreflections.com or call 425-999-9836. That's 425-999-9836.
On the cutting edge of the new mainstream, Christine Upchurch is passionate about bringing together science, psychology, and spirituality in a way that can be applied to our everyday lives for true transformation. The Christine Upchurch Show, stellar conversations to illuminate your journey, engages some of the most outstanding visionaries on the planet in lively dialogue to inspire you to become that bright light you're meant to be. Join Christine every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time on KKNW, AM 1150, and Transformation Talk Radio.
Wow. Hey, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. This is Talk Radio to Thrive By. I'm telling you, I got to pinch myself some days because when each of us gets called to do something that we so not thought was in our wheelhouse to do for a purpose that's so much greater than us, we get to show up and shine.
If you would like to show up and shine on the Dr. Pat Show as a co-host or sponsor, Send us an email to inspire@thedrpatshow.com.
Did I get too close? Oh, did I almost see what's really on the inside?
Welcome back to the Christine Upchurch Show here on KKNW, WBLQ, CRN, several stations in Australia, and, of course, Transformation Talk Radio. I'm having a conversation today with Zen DeBrücke, and her book is entitled Your Inner GPS, Follow Your Internal Guidance to Optimal Health, Happiness, and Satisfaction. Now, Zen, we've been talking about this internal navigation system, and you actually separate it from intuition. Does it overlap? Is it different? What's your perspective on that?
I see it as two completely different things. The internal guidance system is something that I can teach any person to feel and follow. So far, everybody feels it and can follow it. Intuition, and the information comes kind of the same way through this expansion and contraction.
Right.
But in intuition, I'm also intuitive. I'm clairsentient, so I just am of knowing of things that come as a full idea. There's clair audio. There's all these different ways, modalities, that information comes energetically, empathically. It's different for each person. So even if you have two people that are clairsentient, when they discuss how things come to them, it may not even be the same thing. It's different. There's similarities, but it's different. Now, you can use, and I do, and I highly recommend it for people who are really intuitive, the internal guidance system to check out the information that you're getting. So,
right. I like that.
Yeah, it's really good. So we get a piece of information, I get a piece of information, and then immediately my mind begins to make a story up. And it gets kind of clouded. The information gets clouded.
Right.
And so I can use my IGS to see what parts of that is true and what parts of that I made up. Somebody who's empathic, and I think the empathics have a really rough time.
I think so too. Go ahead.
I've worked with several of them with this, and it's just I feel for them. They're able to suss out in the moment whether what they're feeling is their emotion or someone else's.
Yeah.
And they can even check out who it is, and then from there begin cleaning their energy out and working on it from a completely different aspect than what they usually had been doing.
So I sort of view this as kind of like the internal pendulum, like the yes-no kind of thing. So you can actually ask the question, and I guess if you get a yes, you get this expansive feeling, and if it's a no, then you feel the contraction.
Yeah, it's very similar to that. I don't recommend using a yes or a no. The reason why is, but I got a yes. And what I found is that sometimes we're so off course in the way we're thinking. It's more like playing the hot-cold game when you're a kid. Your IGS is trying to get you to move your thoughts in a direction.
Okay.
And you may not even have a thought in your head. So it's more interactive than that. It's more like your IGS is setting out this thing that's perfect for you, and it's like warm, warmer, warmer, no, cold, 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 warmer, 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 hot, hot, hot. This is it. And literally the expansion and contraction, the degree of the expansion you feel, which can feel like at the top chills and ecstasy, and just like you said, that crown chakra and expansion of energy big, is really true for you. Then there's a neutral, which is still valid guidance, and then all the way to the other end of the scale, which is panic, terror, where you wake up in the middle of the night and you're laying there and you've got the feelings, That's a deep closing. That means it's absolutely not true what you're thinking.
Interesting. And, I've always said that when you're channeling information, getting that intuitive download, that there's a certain kind of neutrality about it. That when it's got the emotions connected to it, either like real great excitement or a lot of fear, and that it's probably not correct.
Exactly. It's very true. When it comes through, it is clean, and then we do our thing with it.
Yeah.
Which just brings us to emotions. What I have found is there's a bunch of people who believe that our emotions are our guidance system. I think this is a misconception because Abraham Hicks has created an emotional guidance system, but it's really based on a tool that's a scale of moving you up an emotional ladder to get you closer to opening. Well, your emotions are not your internal guidance system. They're a chemical reaction that the brain has when the mind makes up meaning. or a story about something and the effect it's going to have on your future.
You know, I believe that we can stay sort of like programmed to have certain kinds of emotions, but I do believe that our emotions can be used as an internal guidance system if you take a step back, because sometimes when we're experiencing joy and pleasure, that it's our guidance system saying, this is a good thing. This is the sort of thing that you want. That, like, when you really get down to the crux of it, that might be about connection. It might be about shifting in a career, whatever. And then some of the negative emotions, oftentimes what they're saying is, here's something that needs to be explored. You've got a wound here. Or sometimes it's about setting boundaries, because if something just feels off and you check in, it's like, is this about me? No, it's about them. You can set boundaries. So I tend to think that although it's probably not as clean as the intuitive guidance system, that it does offer some guidance.
Let me share with you my understanding and what other people are discovering by using their IGS. You can have what could be considered a pleasant emotion and a closing, meaning that what you're thinking, even if you're having a pleasant emotion, is not true.
Uh-huh.
You can have what would be an unpleasant emotion and have an opening, like anger, disappointment, grief, and the thoughts you're thinking are true. So an example would be, my mom passed away in 1993, and I was in deep grief.
Mm-hmm.
And there was emotion there. When I was thinking about how amazing she was and how she contributed to my life, I was open. When I went to the pity place of who's going to be there, oh my gosh, I'm going to be alone, who's going to help me raise my kids, I closed. You can have pleasant emotions and think you're in love with somebody and they're the worst person for you, and we see this all the time.
Right.
And you'll be closed. There'll be this thing eating you up, but when you're with them, there's a meaning that our mind's made up about who they are and how they're our partner. I think this is why domestic abuse can happen, where you can't get away from the person because there's that connection and this other thing. You can be angry and open. Most powerful change, if you look at people like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and things, and Gandhi, most of the most powerful change came from a place of being first angry and open and stepping in to make the change.
Right.
And so what I've found is your internal guidance system actually clears out inauthentic emotions and tunes up our emotional body so that in a very short period of time, we really are open with most of what our emotional experience is, and the drama and roller coaster goes away.
See, I think of if we're really clear about our emotions, let's say, for instance, that you start a new relationship with somebody and you feel like you're getting the approval that it just feels so good, and you remember that you yearned for that when you were little and your mother would occasionally give it to you. And then as an adult, you realize, well, your mother was a narcissist and you were never going to get the kind of connection and approval that you really needed. It could guide you to say, oh, wait a minute, I'm feeling the same kind of emotion I felt as a child, and it's feeling really good, but there's something really off about it because it feels so similar. So I think that there can be some assessing. I mean, I get the distinction between the inner GPS and emotions, but I do believe that we can use them as guidance.
Yes, you can, but yes, it's not always as accurate as we'd like it to be.
Yeah, and I understand that this is a way that's cleaner when you're looking at the internal expansion or contraction, which makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, thank you. I try not to go into anything where I'm angry and close. I wait until I find the opening and see if I'm still angry, and if I am, then I step forward and do whatever I feel like I need to do. Things are much more clean that way. Like, I love that word, clean.
Yeah, and I do believe that what some people will refer to as ego-based emotions or negative emotions, that's kind of judgment that actually limits us. And you're talking about using anger when you feel open. There are some times when anger is absolutely appropriate. And so I love the fact that you're talking about sort of aligning with that inner GPS and determining, whatever I'm feeling right now, is it open or closed? And then making choices based on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
exactly.
Makes
you got
sense.
it.
Yeah. That makes sense to me. So you were going to share a story before the break, and before we have to go to another break.
Yeah.
You wanted to talk about this story.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite stories because it shows how wise the internal guidance system is and how it knows things. It knows things from the past, present, and future. So a friend of mine and I were at the Denver airport, and the weather got bad, and they closed down the airport, and they told us our flight was canceled. They recommend we leave and go to a hotel.
Right.
So we are leaving the Denver airport, and you had to get on a shuttle to get to the terminal where the cars are parked and
Sure.
everything.
Yeah.
And I was closed as we were leaving, thinking of getting a hotel and all that. I'm closed. And I looked at him and I said, "Are you closed about leaving the airport?" And he goes, "Yeah, actually I am." And I said, "Okay, well, let's think about staying here." And we both opened, so we went back to our counter area, and the stewardess, the counter person was like, "What are you doing? Don't stay. It's gonna be closed for 15 hours. The airport's shutting down."
Right.
4 hours later, long story short, after being told several times to leave, there's nobody left but security and people doing maintenance. In walks about 4.5 actually. We thought we were crazy this whole time, by the way.
Right.
In walks a flight crew, and they go up to the counter and they look at us and they said, "Where are you going?" We said, "San Francisco." And they go, "So are we." And we were like, "Really?" And I go, "Can we get on the flight?" And he goes, "Yep, let me get the computer. I got to get you booked, in." And I was like, "Okay." We were the only 2 passengers on that flight.
Oh, my
They
goodness.
had to get to that plane from Denver to San Francisco to keep their schedules going for the next day. So as soon as the weather cleared, they paged everybody and brought them in. There's no way we could have known that. Everything was stacked against it. This is one of the ways that your internal guidance system, I believe it's faith. It creates that really faith of a mustard seed can move a mountain energy in your physical body that you can't be deterred because you can physically feel it. It gets people through, and it knows things. And the more you use it, the more in touch you get to that level of trust where magic and synchronicity and miracles are the norm.
Right. Oh, wonderful. We have to go to a quick break, but more about your inner GPS in a few moments.
Right from the start, you were a thief, you stole my heart, and I, your willing victim. I let you see the parts of me that weren't all.
How would you like increased health and vitality? How would you like to avoid the onset of disease as well as slow the aging process? This is all possible through a simple, safe, and natural process. Every day we are either moving toward wellness or away from wellness.
Hi, I'm Mary Jane Mack. I'd like to be your partner in achieving optimal health. Contact me now at maryjanemack.com or call 425-392-0659. Visit maryjanemack.com.
I'm Christine Upchurch, and this is a Stellar Reflections Minute. As a former research statistician, my scientific background is what many would call sensible. For more than a decade now, I have been working in the field of energy medicine, facilitating sessions and teaching around the world. People from the mainstream often ask me, how did a sensible woman like you end up working in such an alternative field? Implicit in their question is the underlying assumption that the field of subtle energy, such as energy healing and intuition, isn't sensible. But I believe it is very sensible. Even scientists are able to measure aspects of this. Approaching life from an energetic perspective brings us new opportunity for healing and transformation. And from a practical standpoint, even if you can't rationally explain how something works, if you experience a shift from it, then doesn't it make it pretty sensible? Please visit stellarreflections.com or call 425-999-9836. That's 425-999-9836.
Hey everyone, meet my friends at the maca team. The ancient Inca root vegetable maca is known worldwide for its huge array of health benefits. As a family-run company of true maca specialists, the maca team is here to bring you the best maca the Peruvian mountains has to offer. Yellow maca, used to promote endurance, vitality, fertility, hormone health, and much more, is on sale now. I love it. Visit themacateam.com to order yours now. Themacateam.com.
Have you been seeing numbers like 111 and 222 everywhere you go? Do you feel that the universe may be trying to get your attention, perhaps offering a message of some sort? As it turns out, numerical patterns and certain types of geometry form the very fabric of our reality, from cells under a microscope to the astronomy of our night sky. At Stellar Reflections, we offer special sessions which tap into these patterns, designed specifically to support you on your journey. The 111 and 222 activations are sessions activating new patterns in your energy field, which in turn can help you create new patterns in your life. After just one session with a practitioner, either in person or via distance, clients report gaining greater clarity, becoming more intuitive, and honoring their inner truth as they move forward in their lives. Curious about what these transformational sessions might do for you? Call 425-999-9836 or visit stellarreflections.com. That's stellarreflections.com.
Every touch, you fix them. Now you've been talking in your sleep. Oh, things you never say to me. Oh, tell me that you've had enough of our love, our love.
Welcome back to the Christine Upchurch Show here on Transformation Talk Radio. I'm talking today to Zen DeBrücke, and here's a great quote from Jack Canfield. He says, Zen Cryar DeBrücke is a master who takes us by the hand and shows us that we all have deep wisdom within. Now, I have to circle back to the emotions because we were having a conversation on the break about this, and it's one of these things that I've been sort of assessing about our internal guidance, and I do believe that emotions can help. But you were giving us a great example of how your emotions weren't correct relating to your father. Would you mind sharing that on there?
Yeah, I'd love to. So for years, my dad and I mean, we're at odds the whole time, forever. And it was, my thoughts were, he doesn't love me, he doesn't even like me, he doesn't want me around, I should just disappear. And the pain that was in that was immense. And those emotions, and I mean, within 15 minutes, we hated being together because within 15 minutes to an hour of me arriving for a holiday, I would be in tears and he would be frustrated and everything was ruined.
Oh, wow.
So I was driving up there for Christmas, and I was suddenly, when I was learning to do this, suddenly realized as I'm holding these thoughts, oh, God, my dad doesn't want to even go. My dad doesn't even like me.
Mm-hmm.
Closed. I went, oh, my gosh, I'm closed. So I'm driving up I-5 for this long 6.5-hour drive, and I'm trying to figure out what a thought about my dad could open me. And finally, after going through a bunch of different things, a thought hit me. He doesn't know how to be a dad to a girl. He was great with my brother. They had such a close relationship. And with me, it wasn't. And all of a sudden, I realized it's not the same thing. When you tickle a girl, where do you touch her? Like, there's just all these things, emotions. We cry, and, what do you get? He doesn't know jewelry and makeup. So I decided in that moment that I was going to teach him how to be a good dad to a girl. I wasn't going to make him guess for gifts anymore. I was going to tell him why my feelings were hurt and how he could say it differently, when to show up for stuff. Oh, you're supposed to be there for that? Okay. I'm like, yeah, parents, come to that and bring flowers. Like that kind of thing. When you're at a theater thing, you bring flowers for your daughter afterwards. Oh, thanks for telling me. But what the big deal is, all of the past years of hate, of hurt, evaporated because they weren't true.
Right.
He just didn't know how to be a good dad to a girl. I couldn't hold on to any of that, the other lies that were closing. So in that emotional state, I could have believed and continued, but it was closing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
so
you're welcome.
I know you have at least one child, right?
Yes, I have a 2-year-old son.
Okay, so as a mom who knows the power of the inner GPS, how do you help your children, or your child in this case? How does one help teach their children to use this?
Yeah. Great question, and one I have not gotten, so I'm really excited. Thank you. We get trained out of this. Kids naturally, in their curious, exploratory way, follow their IGS. And yes, we need to teach them that things are hot and cold, but generally there's a lot of things that kids want to do that we just don't want them to do.
Right.
And there's not really necessarily a big reason. Don't touch the crystal vase. Like, okay, how about we pull the crystal vase down because they're so loving it, hold it in our lap, and let them explore it. So the way out of it is, and believe me, I'm not perfect. Okay, I get the no's sometimes, but you stop saying no. So some of the stuff that I do is, if he's doing something that is not okay right now, like going outside at night, he wants to try and go outside.
Right.
Honey, that's not okay. It's dark now. Make a new choice. Look around. There's lots of choices. What else would you like to do? So they can't do that. But the no begins to, it actually, I believe, it starts affecting the parasympathetic nervous system. The no starts creating PTSD, not that we give our kids, but there's an energy of that where it changes their dynamic of themselves when we start the big no's. Don't do that, that kind of thing, when there's not danger. So new choice. And then he looks around and he follows the next opening naturally for himself. And then I say, oh, that's an awesome choice. Great job. So look around, make a new choice, and let him stay with his IGS. No, you can't do that right now, sweetie, but because of this, and talk to him. The other thing I see that parents don't do is they just don't give an explanation.
Right.
They don't tell them why, so they don't. So the kid is left confused. I want to do this. No. And so what it leaves with is I am not allowed to do what I want.
Yeah.
And then that begins limiting their dreams.
And when they ask why, the parent will typically say, because I said so.
Right. And instead of being honest, because I've had a really long day, I have a headache, and I'm frustrated, and I need quiet.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Be vulnerable and authentic with your emotions, because seeing us go through frustration and out the other side, 10 minutes later, honey, I'm sorry for snapping at you. It's okay, you're frustrated. And then you're frustrated. We tell the kid, you're frustrated. And they go, ooh, frustration's something that happens. Mommy gets frustrated. It's okay.
Right.
I'll feel better in a minute.
Yeah. I love this. So can you give us another example of an exercise we could use in order to kind of hone this inner GPS system?
Yes. So the very first thing is the exercise that we did earlier, and I'll give a website out so you can do it again, but is feeling your feet, your hands, and listening to the room around you. Your senses are the way into being present with your body. You know, feeling, touching, listening, sight. And I found this one to work really well. It doesn't matter if you're standing or sitting or in motion. By really focusing on the pads of your feet and your palms of your hands and listening to the sound around you, you begin to feel your body. Most of us, I found, aren't in our body.
Right.
It's how we get bruises, and we go, how did that happen? Oh, my gosh.
It happens all the time. Yeah,
That's
we're in our minds, not our bodies. Yes.
I can't believe I didn't feel that. And it's just like we are in our minds running through our lives and our checklists and things. So first, get into your body. And then the second thing is say to yourself, whenever you feel stressed, worry, fear, overwhelm, anxiety, any of those, stop and go, ooh, okay. Zen says this is closing. So say to yourself, this is closing. That means what I'm thinking is not true or not going to happen. When you're late and your mind is creating meaning and you're all this stress inside about what people are going to think and all that, wait a minute, I'm closed. That means all the things I'm thinking about, the ramifications of being late, are not true and not going to happen.
Right.
And you'll feel the ease. I have people do just this exercise in the book for 2 to 3 weeks. Because what will happen is they start to realize this fluidity is constantly happening, and it's in relationship to certain thoughts, and they start to get the accuracy. There's a deep level of accuracy to this. We may not be able to always understand the guidance, but in the end, it is always accurate as to the best, most harmonious place for you and everyone around you.
Yeah, interesting. And one of the things I found is in these situations where, like, we're running late or there's something that we're not following through on, and we really wish we could, and we're experiencing the stress, that when you get right down to it, if you sort of you feel more greater ease about it, then you'll find that, oh, well, it wasn't working out for that person, or that person had to be late and they were feeling stressed about it. And this way there's like this perfect kind of orchestration that can occur.
Yes. That's one of the things I was saying about synchronicities and norms and miracles being the norm. What you'll find is you'll feel like not doing something, and you'll call your friend and they go, oh, yesterday I had an interview. We were having Skype problems, and I got the opening to just say, let's reschedule this. Right. And I said, what? Can we reschedule? And she goes, you know what? I would love that. I'm leaving on vacation tomorrow. I have 150,000 things to do. And I'm like, you know what? This is my third interview today. I'm really tired. I'd like to just go relax and read my book. And she goes, okay, cool. Let's do it in 2 weeks. And so it's that kind of thing. And yet, you may not feel like going somewhere. Here's another great way. Business, there's so much to this in professional entrepreneurial lifestyle, but you'll be getting off work or something, and there's an event that you really wanted to go to. You opened when you're going, but now you're like, no. Here's another one of those things that's opposite. You'll be like, should I go to this event? Open. You'll be, darn it.
Yep.
Right?
Right.
Okay, and you don't feel like going the whole way, but you're open. So you go, you get there, you're totally revitalized, you make some great contacts, exactly what you needed. You're so grateful you went. But you would have canceled if your IGS hadn't opened to make you go.
Right, right. I love this, and I want to make sure that we get an opportunity to share with our listeners your website. How do people get in touch with you?
ZenInAMoment.com. ZenInAMoment.com. Okay. And there you're going to find the exercise that we did to help you feel your IGS. Please spread the word. Send anyone there. And an awesome free training, video training, that connects health and stress. And you get to do exercises for time management and all kinds of different ways to access this. It's free there. It goes along with the book if you want to buy it. I highly recommend it. It's 20 really outstanding practices. By the end of the book, you'll have a great understanding of your inner GPS on Amazon.
Mm-hmm. And what I love about this is it's so accessible, whether you've been doing like intuitive work for years or you don't even believe in intuition.
Mm-hmm.
It runs the gambit for all sorts of people, and it's fascinating. And I want to thank you, Zen, for joining us here today. It's wonderful. Your inner GPS. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you for joining us here today. Our listeners, I know you're all over the world. I think at one point I've counted like 66, 67 people getting on to ChristineUpchurch.com, into the archives and other places on my website. It's a joy to have you join us from wherever you are in the world. I look forward to talking to you again soon. Bye, everybody.
You've been listening to The Christine Upchurch Show, stellar conversations to illuminate your journey. Each week, this show engages some of the most outstanding visionaries on the planet in lively dialogue to inspire you to become that bright light you're meant to be. Join Christine every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time on KKNW, AM 1150, and TransformationTalkRadio.com. For more information about the transformative healing work of Christine, visit www.stellarreflections.com. And for weekly topics, visit www.transformationtalkradio.com.